U.S. now blaming Russia for a chemical weapons attack by Assad Syria forces in Syria. A human rights group reporting at least 13 civilians were injured. The allegation is this: government forces using chlorine gas to bomb a rebel-held area near Damascus earlier in the week. At the UN, Nikki Haley calling out Moscow for this.
Russia is running from the facts. Russia has the audacity to lecture this Security Council about how to stop the use of chemical weapons. In the past year, Russia used its veto three times to kill the Joint Investigative Mechanism in Syria. Russia, all on its own, killed the mechanism we had specifically tasked to identify those responsible for using chemical weapons.
Yeah, so what now? Lieutenant Colonel Michael Waltz, former Green Beret commander for the U.S. Army, former counterterrorism advisor to Vice President Dick Cheney, author of the book Warrior Diplomat. Michael, good morning to you.
Morning, Bill.
What has Russia done in the past when these allegations occur, and would you expect any change in its posture now?
No. Look, Russia is 100% complicit with the Assad regime. If it could, Russia could stop these attacks tomorrow if it wanted to. It has not only, as Nikki Haley pointed out, and Rex Tillerson as well yesterday, it has not only stopped the UN investigating body and vetoed it and shut it down, it's complicit with aiding and abetting the Syrian Air Force. So the question is now, what do we do about it? Do we take military action again? And then I think this just goes to show that there is no peaceful solution in Syria, in my view, with Assad still in power. He has been gassing and murdering his people now
and
for
he has
several years.
also been hanging on to that power. You mentioned the response.
With Russia's help.
President Trump bombed Syria last year, the last time this happened. Would you expect that to happen again, Michael?
I don't know that I expect it to happen again because we are just working with the Russians in so many areas, from North Korea to the supply routes into Afghanistan. I think we could see some type of additional sanctions. The French actually just started sanctioning a number of entities that are supplying the Assad chemical weapons program. But I think Haley and Tillerson are absolutely right to call Russia out on it and let the world know that this wouldn't be happening without their support of Assad.
Right. I want to move further east to Afghanistan here, something you know all too well about. The A-10 Warthog has now been called to duty in Afghanistan. This is a low-flying, slow-flying, agile plane that usually, maybe 10, 15 years ago, specialized in taking out tanks on behalf of the enemy. Not a lot of tanks in Afghanistan. How do you use the A-10 now in this fight?
So the A-10 Warthog is one of my favorite planes. It has saved my life. I wouldn't be sitting here today without it. It has a very long loiter time, meaning it can stay over the battlefield for a long time. The Air Force has tried to kill it for a number of reasons, but folks, I think some smart folks on the Hill have kept it alive. What it's going to do is it's going to get ready for the Taliban spring offensive. We also have a number of advisors, an additional number of advisors going into Afghanistan to advise the Afghan army at a more tactical level. They won't be pulling triggers, but they'll be closer to the front. And we're going to mimic what we did with ISIS and what we did in the invasion of Afghanistan, which is to have our advisors with the Afghans doing the fighting and the U.S. Air Force in support. And importantly, General Nicholson, the commander there, is now going after the Taliban's pockets and how they're getting their money through the opium trade and taking out a lot of the drug labs that have been fueling the insurgency.
Well, we'll watch that
also with air support.
Yeah, the spring offensive is something we watch every year, and yet again, we're back there yet again.
That's right.
I introduced you with a rather long title. Is that title about to be longer, Michael? What's your future?
Yeah, Bill, I'm running for Congress. I've served this country my entire life, and it's time to step up and serve again. I'm running for Ron DeSantis' seat in Florida. I'm a Florida native, and I think between my time as a Green Beret, an advisor to Vice President Cheney, teeing up decisions to the president, and now as a businessman with several hundred employees, you know, we could talk about these issues, but I've lived them, and it's time to serve. Bill, I think if we get more veterans in Congress, combat veterans in Congress, we would see a totally different atmosphere there.
Do you have an opponent yet?
I have two opponents, a local businessman and another gentleman that is saying he's going to self-fund. They are also veterans. I think we'd also all bring a lot to the table. But this is about how I am not a career politician, and this is how we distinguish ourselves to serve the people.
This will be a race to watch then. Michael Waltz, thank you. A bit of news right there. Thank you and good luck to you. And
thanks, Bill.
We'll see what happens then.